Welcome to the land of anime, ramen, and video games. Japan is a country that has undoubtedly become one of the most important countries in the world throughout its history. Its contribution, some would say none, while others would say it is the cradle of video games and manga. For us, it's an incredible place not to be missed. So today, we're going to take a little tour through its history and learn more about this amazing country. But first, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. So let's get started. Japan is the 11th most populous country in the world, and with 334.23 inhabitants per square kilometer, one of the most densely populated and urbanized. But where exactly is it, and who does it border? First of all, it's an archipelagic country, that is, a country made up of islands in East Asia, located in the northwest of the Pacific Ocean. It's bordered by the East China Sea to the north, Taiwan to the south, the Sea of Okhotsk to the west, and the Pacific Ocean to the east. The more than 6,000 islands that make up Greece as a nation are far outnumbered by the Japanese territory, which consists of an archipelago of 6,852 islands, covering 377,975 square meters. The five main islands of the country are Okinawa, Kyushu, Hokkaido, Honshu, and Shikoyu. Although its 126 million inhabitants are concentrated on the narrow coastal plains, 3/4 of its territory is mountainous. Speaking of mountains, its highest peak is the world-famous Mount Fuji at 3,776 meters, located on the island of Honshu. Situated to the west of Tokyo, it can be seen from the capital on a clear day. It has been immortalized in so many films, series, and anime. Some cities are of high importance. Tokyo is the country's most important city in economic, political, cultural, academic, and population terms, a huge capital. The Tokyo metropolitan area is the most populous metropolitan area in the world, with 37 million inhabitants. It is also known as the Greater Tokyo Area, although the Japanese often refer to it simply as the Tokyo Metropolitan Area. It is also the city whose population uses mass transit the most, with 22 million passengers commuting daily on its 136 lines. There are many ways to define it territorially, but the most accepted and used is to call it a metropolis of 3 prefectures. The history of Japan is fascinating. There are records of the first settlement on the islands more than 30,000 years ago, in what we know as the Paleolithic. This was followed by the Jomon period, around 14,500 BC, with an almost sedentary hunter culture from the Mesolithic to the Neolithic, characterized by very rudimentary and primitive agriculture. It was not until 1000 BC that the Yayoi people from Kyushu began to enter the archipelago and began a process of interbreeding with the Jimon population. This period saw the introduction of rice cultivation, new styles of pottery, and metallurgy. Legend has it that in 660 BC, the emperor, then Jinmu, found a kingdom in which an unbroken line of imperial succession began. The first written mention of the name Japan is in the Book of Han, dating from 111 AD. In the following centuries, Japan would be involved in reforms that would nationalize all its lands and distribute them among peasants with the creation of a household register, as well as the entry of Buddhism and the beginning of bloody wars between princes, such as the Jinshin War of 672, which culminated in the creation of the Tai Code and thus the consolidation of the structure of local and subordinate governments, strengthening its territorial unity. Later, feudal Japan was characterized by the emergence of a ruling class of samurai warriors, which gave rise to one of the most interesting and brilliant moments in its history. After the defeat of the Taira clan in the Genpei War in 1185, Minamoto no Yoritomo established a military government. The Kamakura shogunate, which was able to repel Mongol invasions, was overthrown by Emperor Go-Daigo in 1333. In the 16th century, Japan began cultural and commercial exchanges with the West with the arrival of Portuguese traders and Jesuit missionaries. Oda Nobunaga, who fought other members of his family for control of the clan after his father's death, used European firearm technology to win his battles and consolidate his power. In the modern era, specifically from 1854 on, Japan began to open up to the outside world, driven, or rather forced, by the so-called Black Ships of the U.S. Navy. With various treaties that began to integrate Japan into the nascent globalization, its emperor had to face the opposition of those who wanted to maintain the country's nationalist conservatism and not mix its traditions with those of the West. This conflict is very well illustrated in the film The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. If you haven't seen it, you should see it as soon as you can. In the 20th century, Japan's economy, its cities, its industry, and its population were decimated and almost reduced to ashes. With its participation in the Second World War, far from achieving its original goal of hegemonic control of the Pacific, it lost its influence. And after years of bombing, including 2 atomic bombs that literally wiped out 2 of its cities, Japan had to devote the second half of the last century to rebuilding itself. Barely 70 years after falling victim to Oppenheimer's daughters, Japan is the 3rd largest economy in the world. There are a wealth of beautiful and awe-inspiring places in the country that attract tourists from all over the world every year who come to see them with their own eyes. It is impossible to tell you about them all, but here is a list of the most important ones. The capital of the East, as it is called in Japanese, Tokyo, is the first must-see destination when visiting this country. There are those who would say that there is never an end to seeing Tokyo, and being the largest and most populous metropolis in the world, we could even believe this statement. The Imperial Palace in the Marunouchi district is the official residence of the emperor, with its 17th century parks surrounded by moats and walls. The Ginza district is literally Asia's Times Square. Its pedestrian streets are the busiest in the world. The Tokyo Skytree is the city's tallest building at 634 meters, a communication tower with an exclusive restaurant and observation deck. Leaving Tokyo for a moment, it would be important to talk about Mount Fuji is the country's highest point above sea level at almost 3.8 kilometers. In ancient times, it was a sacred place where women were forbidden to go to the top until the end of the 19th century. The Great Buddha of Mount Nokogiri is the largest ancient Buddha statue in Japan. Japanese traditions can amaze anyone, especially if you're a Westerner, as extreme orderliness, extreme productivity, and absolute impeccable hygiene are already part of their way of life. It's therefore normal to see streets without plastic or trash. In fact, at the end of matches involving the Japanese national football team, it was normal to see groups of supporters picking up trash left on the stadium seats by the fans before they left. Taking off your shoes when you come home is another deeply rooted tradition. Taking off your shoes when entering a house is not only a hygienic decision, but also a sign of respect. Sake is very present in the daily lives of the Japanese. Even the nightlife in Japan involves drinking sake. It's a drink that can be found in almost every corner and place in terms of taste and variety. Tasting it is a must on the list of things to do in Japan. Another very important feature of Japanese society is how religious and polytheistic it is, with the majority, 84% of the population, adhering to Shintoism. Japan has a wide variety of ecosystems. Its winter is extreme, with up to 4 meters of snow in some parts of the country. Its thick ice has great diversity underneath. Ice suspended over seas that attract an immense marine diversity of cold climates, such as the stellar sea lion, and out-of-water species such as the Asiatic black bear, with its 140 centimeters in height and its average weight of 100 kilos. Its diversity is also reflected in its rich flora, with more than 17,000 species of flowering and non-flowering plants. Among the most outstanding are the Japanese cedar, which can reach 60 meters in height and 4 meters in diameter, is a huge immensity. In Yakushima, there are trees up to 3,000 years old. The cherry tree and the streets of Japan are full of its pinkish-white blossoms, which are extremely representative of the national culture. It is called the sakura flower and is celebrated in the Hanami festival. These and over 4,500 other native plants make up an enviable biodiversity. Japanese gastronomy is not just an interesting topic for us, it's an important topic for them. Their cuisine is a source of national pride, so they tend to be very demanding and sophisticated when it comes to judging how well their own dishes are cooked. A standard Japanese meal basically consists of a cup of Japanese rice, gohan, with a side of pickled vegetables, a cup of soup, and a variety of flavorful accompaniments, either fish or meat. But here we will tell you about the main and most famous dishes, sushi and sashimi. These are the best known and most eaten Japanese dishes in the West. Their preparation requires sophisticated technique. In addition, the presentation of each dish must be visually excellent, meticulous, and detailed. This is what the Japanese demand. With soy sauce, wasabi, and marinated ginger, there's an enormous variety, the most consumed being uramaki, hosomaki, and futomaki. Tofu, similar to cheese, is made with milk and soy sauce. It can be used in both hot and cold dishes. Sukiyaki, meat cooked at the table with vegetables, soy, and sugar. It is traditional to pass the sukiyaki through a bowl of raw eggs before eating. Yakisoba, fried wheat noodles with vegetables and chicken or pork. Japan, the country where Arnold Schwarzenegger filmed some absurd TV commercials in the 1980s, is a destination we should visit as soon as we get the chance. The cultural impact is as shocking as it is fascinating. The most digitized country in the world, which at the same time has refused to forget its age-old traditions and continues to honor them as it always has. Drinking sake while gazing at Mount Fuji is a pleasure that we cannot leave this world without having experienced. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments, what do you think of the Japanese way of life? See you next time.